So we're back. Mama, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys are good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes. Have you found one?
No, but no. We have responded to ECHO's warrant and have turned up at work today.
Okay.
So 2 down, 3 to go.
Okay, so this is all like one big drama, right? But it's one of those dramas that some people probably anticipated. We kind of like, I don't know, am I saying the right things?
Yeah. We had anticipated this.
Okay. All right.
And we'll say that it was long overdue.
Yet we don't seem to know what we're doing with ourselves now that we're here, even though we saw this day coming.
To be fair, you see, we say we anticipated it, but we had so much doubt that this would ever happen. So you remember even yesterday when we were picking up the hint from Gabby's tweet, some of us were not, the 3 of us were not, we didn't believe.
No. That he had been arrested,
yes,
and he had absconded, yes. Because there was no arrest.
And there was, yes, apparently it wasn't an arrest, but he was placed on bail following an invitation of Ioko.
And they still didn't tell us.
Yes.
So even if we saw him leave, then we wouldn't have helped anybody because we didn't know.
I'm not sure which one. Yeah, I guess you're right about that. You know, we were not informed. And so it was very difficult for us to accept it coming from somebody's tweet.
But we don't have to be informed, do we?
We have to.
It was a matter of public interest.
A huge public interest. Yeah. Obviously, yes. And especially now that you say you can't find the person, how do we help you? You get it? If we knew, then somebody would have said, "Oh, I saw him yesterday. I saw him in Togo.
I saw him crossing the Togo border or whatever." Yeah. You know, or at least the people at whichever border he crossed would have been aware that there is a warrant, there is a bail condition that he's breaking, and they wouldn't have allowed him to break it. So yes, there was a need for the public to be informed, and they failed to do that. But for me, the question now is, will there be a benefit of not the warrant, because obviously if he's done something wrong, there ought to be a warrant for his arrest. He ought to be arrested. But the other things, the freezing of his accounts, will there be a benefit to it?
Is there anything left in there?
Probably some 3 cedis, 20 pesos or whatever. If he is the crook that people are suggesting that he is, will he leave his money lying around?
Okay, well, if you've just joined us, there was a lot in the AM news, but now we're doing the newspaper, so you can catch up with some of the headlines that you are not updated on, if you like. So let's hit and dig into the newspapers. We've got the Graphic, we've got the Daily Guide, the Daily Dispatch, the Finder, the Times. I think one more paper we haven't seen in a while, maybe. Okay, that's about it. All right, would start with the Graphic, I guess?
Sure, why not? Okay, so it's got a massive picture on the front page of Nana Appiah-Mensah, looking a bit surprised with his hand to his mouth, saying like, yay. And he's got a nice lapel pin which says, Nam, Nam. And the headline is Menzgold boss wanted. Also on the front page, $74 million Jospong contract terminated for non-performance. Yeah, a bacterial infection killed tilapia at Fujian farm. Oh boy, really? So now we finally have this information after the tilapia died at least 2 months ago, right? If not 3. Okay, also on the front page, Reverend Dr. Simon Asori dies at 76. And freight forwarders lend support to single window probe. Right, on the back page, youth plant 10 million seedlings under afforestation program. And driver of vehicle with pistol ammunition flees from police. I think it should be flees. They got that wrong, said flee. But yeah, ammunition, there is a pistol and some ammunition for a shotgun. And the driver apparently of a Toyota RAV4 vehicle, which is not fully registered, ran from the police. That's the Daily Graphic. Daily Guide has a lot more of the same. Arrest warrant for Menzgold boss, wife and sister. Nana will beat Mahama again, Legon reports. You see how interestingly that report is being slanted by different sides, you know.
So Nana will beat Mahama.
Yes.
But he will still not win the presidency outrightly.
That is according to this report. You see, so the Daily Guide, you know, chooses to have their glass half full on this matter. Alliance Motors sued over leaking Land Rover. Well, well, this is interesting. And Reverend Asori dead. That's it for the Daily Guide.
Okay, let me do the Daily Dispatch newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, former Deputy EC boss in court. The missing 320,000 Ghana cedis has now been found in the accountant's safe. It's on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper.
Right.
The Economic Intelligence Unit's overview of events in Ghana, November-December 2018, also serialized there. We have tension mount in 6 new regions over proposed capitals. Well, I think we anticipated this as well. After we fight for the region, then we'll fight for the capital. Menzgold's #1 jumps bail, Gabi alleges. And we have all that. You go to the back page, gets interesting. There's only one legitimate wife of late Ejakun, and that's me. Josephine insists. And Mrs. Josephine Nane Ejakun, the first wife of the late first wife, so legitimate wife. Let's do the Daily Statesman newspaper. The Daily Statesman has on the front page, Akufo-Addo is a credible leader. Ghanaians pass vote of confidence in president. Ghana back as breadbasket. Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo rush to farm gates for food. Court orders arrest of #1 and directors. Spio Gabra has a better national appeal than Mahama. On the back page of the Daily Statesman newspaper, Salah, Liverpool and Egypt forward, named CAF African Player of the Year. Is sandwiched by the CAF president Ahmad and the Liberian president, who was a former footballer as well, George Oponwea. FIFA lifts worldwide ban on Ghana Samuel Nkum. Still, he's just 29 years old. All right, so he has more time.
What has that got to do with anything?
Oh.
Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page of the Ghanaian Times.
Newspaper.
Traditional Queens praise President's government for free SHS. Also on the front page, Port players raise red flag over national or new national single window software. Ghana's population hits 30.2 million according to the Statistical Service. So we have not had a census since 2010. However, there is a growth rate of 2.5 that we go by every year, and we've gone beyond 30 now. But there will be a major census in 2020. They say they've gotten approval. We'll get into a bit of some details in the story.
It's going to be an expensive year, 2020.
The last census, I was not counted.
How do you mean?
They didn't come to my house where I lived.
Let's stick to what is on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, shall we? #1, Menzgold directors wanted. That story is on page 17. Also on the back page of the paper now, health pros,
30
shopping
million
skills.
and
30 million too.
Health pros, shopping skills in treatments of infectious disease. And then farmers field day held at Domiabra. That's on the back page of the paper. Let's see, center spread. Well, more details of some of the headlines you've heard already. Let's finish up with the Business Finder. Front page of the Business Finder newspaper. Take advantage of economic setting to grow your businesses, captains of industry told. Cedi depreciates 8.8% in 2018. Was it arrested? Was it in prison?
they have issued a bench warrant
for the city as well. Okay. Was it ever in courts?
Not a clue.
Banks write off 1.1 billion Ghana cedis as bad debts. Also another headline here. And that's the market summary you can find on the front page of the Business Finder newspaper. All right, where do we begin?
Oh God! Well, it is the bigger story, isn't it? Number one. Now, you had you left by the time we did the breaking news? Were you still in the newsroom? Or
no, I was lying on the floor of my bedroom listening to
how,
the radio.
How
So yes, I
you.
did listen to the breaking news.
Yes. Now I was about. I think I just stepped out for a meeting, so I was driving back when I heard Menzgold. But before I went for the meeting, we were discussing this in the newsroom and having basically a bit of a conversation similar to what we talked about here. About the state's role in this and whether they have played their role. And it came up strongly amongst our colleagues, the fact that in many other cases, we see the investigative bodies acting a lot quicker and being more decisive. Even before a case is brought, sometimes even before charges are leveled, they take preventive action. Just on the off chance that they are indeed dealing with a situation where people have been defrauded or duped, they immediately secure the assets that will be required to rectify the situation and protect the victims. And then they proceed with the investigation, which, if nothing comes of it, then assets are, I don't know whether it is defrosted or unfrozen, but basically they are no longer frozen and they are given back to the owners.
It's interesting how when we have political actors, we're so quick to freeze their accounts and their assets so quickly.
Yes.
Sylvester Mensah.
Yeah.
It happened to him. It happened to opening the former CocoaBoat CEO.
Yeah.
And these are individuals here, but we're talking about a company that a lot of people have invested in, and we couldn't quickly do this.
Okay.
So it looks like we have a thing for political people, but when it comes to the ordinary persons or the business people, we're a bit too late in acting. I don't know if we're too late, but a lot of people seem to believe, especially when you look at the fact that most of the Menzgold buildings, if not all, were rented premises, were rented buildings, if you like. And in some of the buildings, you shared with us how some of them are empty right now. And most of the things that we thought were his,
Indeed. And you see, for me, what this means is that even the simple process of determining which of these buildings he owns and which ones he rented, even that doesn't appear to have happened, because that would feed into any decisions to seize his assets or freeze his accounts. But clearly, not even the authorities are aware which of the buildings he owns, which ones. And this is months after they issued this directive for him to stop doing what they determined as illegal. Okay, and so for me, the failures are just so many, and they are one after the other. So before you ask him to stop, did anybody sit and think, okay, so when he stops, what will happen next? What will happen next? And who will be at risk? What will he be likely to do? Who needs protection? Who do we need to make sure that we are keeping an eye on? Or they just said, freezes, tell him to stop operating. And then somebody said, yes, sir, and typed a letter and they sent it. Is that the level at which, we are operating as a regulator? I certainly hope not.
No, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to commitment. And if anybody in the political establishment is committed to a certain agenda or tax, you see that the posture and the way all the allied agencies wake up is different and it's apparent. And it also brings into question what the rumors or the speculations are about whether he was politically connected. And if we're talking politically connected, not necessarily only to the present government of the day, but the political elite in general. And so that also will call into question that sort of commitment that should have come to them earlier. Because you mentioned that for somebody who is speculated to have that sort of reputation, by now, I'm sure he's flighted all his capital or his monies into some other offshore account, into some place somewhere. He may go to prison or maybe prosecute and subsequently may get some prison terms, but he'll come back and still go and enjoy his loot, for example, if that is what
if that comes to pass.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's the ordinary people, even though the accusation is that they were gullible and greedy, who will be bearing the brunt of all this. Look, we shouldn't kid ourselves. There was well-structured efforts by him and his cohorts or his friends and his companies to make what he was doing look legitimate. He had various meetings with top kings and chiefs in our country, had various interactions with the president, various ministers, and we publicly saw him do good. I think, just like happens elsewhere, it was to legitimize his business. But now we're told that what apparently he was doing was illegal. When did that become illegal? And when should we, in the interest of the public that those institutions are serving, should have taken the action preventively? And now, I think they have failed in that regard.
Now, you know, the Finance Minister, Kenneth Oyeta, is on record as having called the Menzgold customers greedy. And yesterday, we got several messages during Newsnight when they heard from two of the customers who were trying to explain things from their perspective. We got lots of messages from listeners on Joy FM who said, yes, they are greedy. They deserve no sympathy. Nobody should fight their corner and so forth. Now, it reminded me of something. You remember in a conversation here, I talked about how corruption is not just a legal issue, it's a moral issue too. But when government and authorities are talking about whether or not one of their own is corrupt, they go straight to legal proof. They expect the public to meet the strictest of legal burden of proof before even the question of whether corruption has occurred is considered. However, when it comes to how the public is acting, only the moral standard is held up. So the customers are greedy. Customers are greedy, so does that mean government shouldn't act? Is greed a crime? And they say customers are gullible. Is it a crime to be gullible? And in fact, is it not because gullible people exist that we set up structures and systems to ensure that no matter how gullible you are protected from the wolves?
Well, certainly we'll return to this subject of Menzgold right after the sports. We have to finish up with the rest of the headlines and quickly go on myjoyonline.com. We have to touch base and talk about the Democratic Republic of Congo as well, because there's a new leader in that country. Okay, so let me just shelve this population story. You can read it in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The bit about the depreciation of the cedi on page 15, the Business Finder newspaper, real quick before we go on myjoyonline.com. So the Ghana cedi ended the year 2018 with an annualized depreciation of about 8.8% to the US dollar. This is against 4.45% depreciation in 2017. In 2016, the cedi lost about 9.2% in value to the American greenback. Indeed, most analyst projections failed to materialize primarily because of the liquidation of some assets by some foreign investors or portfolio managers. You can continue to read the rest of this in the Business Finder newspaper. MyJoyOnline.com now.
Yeah, so let's go to MyJoyOnline.com. Well, a couple of stories, Mama V.
So warrants issued for Menzgold CEO's arrests. The form of the warrant was also another conversation. A lot of people thinking because of the Supreme Court and all the things on that sheet that it was fake, but no, that is real. Let's continue on myjoyonline.com. Menzgold to publish names, profession of customers. Dankwa Institute hints. What's the use of this? The people want what they put in there, right? I mean, what use will be publishing their names and profession of customers? Now, one arrest warrant. Government should have acted long ago, according to Ato Forsing. Stonebwoy tops boom playlist of most listened to artists for 2018. Police didn't arrest Nam1, CID boss clarifies. Why didn't GN Bank benefit from the GATT? Minority suspect foul play in here. In Takrade, dress scarf of missing girl found at suspected kidnappers' hideouts. Inflation for December 2018 hits 9.4%. Nam1 faces 10 years or more in jail if, and you can read on what lawyer Samson Ladi Ayenini says on this particular subject. So lots of updates on Menzgold, obviously making the page. myjoyonline.com. We've got other interesting stories there. Just click and explore.
I think what I find interesting was we're grateful to multimedia. Menzgold customers jubilate. I don't know whether they're jubilating because he's been...
Okay, let's quickly do the BBC. Opposition leader named DR Congo president. A bit of that. His name is Felix Tshisekedi. He's won the Democratic Republic of Congo's tightly contested presidential vote, according to the Electoral Commission. The provisional results put him ahead of another opposition candidate, Martin Fayulu, and the ruling coalition's Emmanuel Shaderi. If confirmed, Mr. Tshisekedi will be the first opposition challenger to win since the DR Congo gained independence. Current President Joseph Kabila is stepping down after 18 years in office. He had promised DR Congo's first orderly transfer of power since the country's independence from Belgium in 1960. The election outcome was initially expected to be announced on Sunday. The interim results can still be challenged, but we know another opposition person is challenging the win of this opposition leader. So it's not entirely over in DR Congo, and it is suspected because of a meeting with Joseph Kabila, there might have been, some agreed terms. The reason for this man being provisionally announced as the leader. Some people suspect that Joseph Kabila will still be, there will be some, he will still very much be in leadership in DR Congo. So you can read a lot about this on the BBC. Beauty queen defiant amid racist abuse. The African comic hoping to take on Disney. Kenyans mourn mass camel poisoning is another story on the page, the BBC Africa page. So, if you're interested in any of the stories, you can just log on. And then let's talk about Mr. Trump before we leave, shall we?
Donny T, y'all.
Yeah. Because President Donald Trump has walked out of a meeting with Democratic leaders as negotiations broke down on the 19th day of a U.S. government shutdown. The Republican president ended talks after Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer stuck by their refusal to fund his planned U.S.-Mexico border wall. Mr. Trump called his meeting with the pair, quote, a total waste of time. Some 800,000 federal workers will go without pay this week for the first time since the shutdown began. The president tweeted afterwards that he had said bye-bye to the top Democrats.
Oh man, it's interesting.
Yep.
But he still has a lot of support inside the United States.
Let me read his tweet. Just left a meeting with Chuck and Nancy, a total waste of time. I asked what is going to happen in 30 days if I quickly open things up. Are you going to approve border security, which includes a wall or steel barrier? Nancy said no. I said, bye-bye, nothing else works.
Just left a meeting with them. Total waste of time. Total waste.
Is this supposed to be the most powerful country in the world?
Total waste of time.
Well, he certainly believes he's the most powerful man in the world.
What else?
I think it's the country makes him powerful. But really, if you monitor the tweets and his comments, it's so ordinary.
So childish, actually. He's now dealing with a Congress that is not his. So the dynamic is very different. He has to now prove what he said in the campaign, that he's the biggest deal maker or the best deal maker in the world. Because everything is going to have to be a deal. You're going to have to give up something in order to get something.
Absolutely.
It's not like Ghana, where every person who belongs to the Democratic Party will always vote against a Republican president. No, it's not like that. You can convince them to vote your way. But that's what you have to do. You have to convince them. Yeah. You can't just come and sit there and say, do it my way or bye-bye.
Do it my way.
Well, it's still like showdown in America, right? So we down here are enjoying every bit of the action in America. We're watching. Yeah. Okay.
That's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so time for sports, and then so much more will unfold right here.
Somebody scored 9 yesterday.
Who?
This day and age,
City.
Manchester City.
9
Ahmed. Yeah. And that's details in sports. Stay with sports.